Welcome back to Action Toon Bros, episode 76.
Woo!
Hell
76
yeah.
already.
Hell yeah. This is, of course, your host, Matthew Lewis, and joining me, my good friend, Ben Sturgeon.
Hey there, guys. How's it going? And I hope you're all behaving.
Yeah, you're all law-abiding citizens, I hope. Now, this is, I think, our new, obviously it is our new series we're doing, Fillmore, the Disney classic from the 2000s. Ben, this is the first series we've covered that's actually 100% episodic in nature, I think. Like, there's like no real specifics through line for a story or anything
Oh,
like that.
right. Like, no tie-ins. It's just, like, literally an anthology kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a serialized normal TV show. All the other ones we've done have been narrative based.
Yeah, I believe you're right. This is going to be the first time we've done something that doesn't really have, like, too much of a cohesive story. Like, sure,
Yeah.
there are things that tie in, but it's just, like, they're not,
Yeah,
anything
plot
that we've
points
done
and
that was
returning
story-based.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's actually kind of crazy to think about.
But also, I was going to say, this is obviously a hyper-specific genre, one that I'm near and dear with. It's a procedural buddy cop series. How familiar are you with this kind of genre? Have you watched many shows like this or no?
Not so much shows, so much as movies. Like,
Okay.
prime examples. I know you'll know one of them, if not both of them. I think you're crazy enough to know both of these. The Rush Hour movies. The very first Rush Hour movie is exactly that.
Yeah.
With
Buddy cop.
but also, if any of you have seen the half-hour amazing movie on Netflix called Kung Fury.
Oh God.
It is, even though it loses touch of it, it is everything that is 80s, including the buddy cop. Like, I don't need you. You're not my buddy cop.
Did you watch Samurai Cop?
No, actually, I have yet to watch that one.
Okay, you need to watch that ASAP. It's one of the funniest things on the planet. I think the guy from Samurai Cop is the villain in the second Kung Fury. I think possibly something like that.
Wait, there's a second Kung Fury?
I believe so. I'm not 100%, but I think the guy did show up in another movie like that. But Samurai Cop is fantastic. The original movie is so stupidly ridiculous. But you don't watch any shows like procedural shows.
No, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
When it comes to this genre specifically, I don't really go out of my way for it. It's not, these shows I'm gonna list are not necessarily in this genre, but shows like cop shows, anything like CSI or NCIS, Law and Order, those are not really my cup of tea. I don't go out of my way. The only reason why I've watched any of the other ones is because they're literally parodies.
Okay. Yeah. Well, have you seen? So you don't watch Bones or Sherlock or anything like that?
I've heard of them. I know of Bones and I know of Sherlock. I mean, heck, Benedict Cumberbatch is the one in fucking Sherlock, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And that was one of the ones. Yeah. And that was one of the ones that I heard where that one of the big oh my gosh, it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
You mean the Super Who-Lock era of Supernatural, Doctor Who, Sherlock? The Super Who-Lock was that era of fangirls going crazy.
Who-Lock.
Yeah, it's a very specific era of fangirls, Tumblr era.
I will say, even though it's not buddy cop, procedural, whatever, there are some episodes of Doctor Who that I've actually watched.
That's good. Well, Doctor Who practically is, honestly. It might as well be a mystery that he's solving. I, for one, loved Law and Order. Did you watch Psych? It's kind of like a parody, kind of.
Isn't that the one where the one guy's like a psychic?
Yeah, he's pretending to be psychic, yeah.
Yeah, I know the premise of that one at least, but like I said, I don't really go out of my way. That's not really the genre I like.
I'll say that one is a straight up comedy series, and it's pretty legit, very, very funny. It's pretty much just a spoof series, but yeah, it's all on Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll have to give that one a try, maybe. But
yeah,
but yeah.
We used to marathon Law and Orders all the time. So you're not a fan of the genre specifically. Did you watch this with your roommates by any chance? I was curious if they knew, because I know you didn't know about this show.
No, actually, even though one of my roommates was sitting beside me for some of it,
yeah,
we were not actually watching it together. I was just watching it, and they were off doing their own thing.
Okay, yeah. I was curious if anybody knew because I know Ed and Leanne also hadn't seen this show, but it was like part of a huge block of Disney Saturday morning block.
Right, yeah. That's I do remember you saying that at the end of Young Justice.
Yeah.
Like you were like, yeah, this is one of those shows like from one Saturday morning. I'm like, "Oh," which is probably why I didn't really watch it because I mean, yeah, sure, I know some of the shows on one Saturday morning, but again, on Saturday mornings, I was on Kids WB watching Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon.
You weeb. You didn't watch Recess or like Lloyd in Space, Pepper Ann?
Um, some Recess. I've heard of Pepper Ann and Lloyd in Space, but I've not watched those two. I know it was more of a Nickelodeon show, but I think on like one Saturday morning they also for some reason showed Doug.
Yeah, that was one of the shows that I think Disney acquired it from Nickelodeon at some point because it was like
Yeah.
it was like a soft reboot or like a sequel series. I don't know. I didn't really research it, but yeah, the new Doug with like different, everyone's designs got slightly different and stuff like that. I think it was like a couple years later or something like that, maybe. Like
Something like that, but I mean, not necessarily my kind of show, but it was still somewhat enjoyable.
All right, now Weekenders or the Sabrina animated series.
No, on both of those actually.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised at how many people didn't because I loved all the Disney block. I think when the I mentioned earlier the Digimon episode of Movie Garbage is where we like nostalgically talked about all the Kids WB, One Saturday Morning, and what was the other one? Fox Kids or Fox Box? Yeah.
Box or JetX or
Yeah,
whatever the
JetX.
fuck.
Literally
Yeah.
became-
Well, I mean JetX, which was like pretty much the Fox Kids thing after Fox Kids or during Fox Kids or whatever. But anyway, yeah, like Toonami, like just the Nick in the Afternoon, I think it was called or something like that.
Yeah.
Nicktoons and stuff like that. Yeah, all of those things. But yeah, oh my god, fucking Digimon. That's a can of worms for another time. I'm still
It's a great
sad
episode
I missed that
of-
episode.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
still
yeah,
sad that I
definitely was-
missed going to record that one. I think I own that movie. If I don't own that movie, I need to own that movie because I
incredible.
remembered
You definitely
actually
should.
liking it.
It's
Yeah, I
great.
was gonna say,
We
I
liked it. It's
remember
pretty high
liking
up on our list. Yeah, it's pretty high up on our list. So
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so like Fillmore.
yeah, I was gonna say. So before we get into the actual plot, first 3 episodes, what was your initial immediate reaction? Or do you want to save it to the end of the episode when we cover all the plot and stuff?
Well, I'll say this. For each of these episodes, I remember watching the first episode, and I'm just like, huh, okay, I can get behind this. I watched the second one, and I was like, okay, still good. And then by the third one, I'm like, wow, I see why Matt likes this. But my only question is why did I miss this?
Yeah, it was 2002 to 2004. So that was when I was 12 to 14. And in middle school, which is where this takes place. So yeah.
Same here. I was 12 to 14 as well because, I mean, then again, 12 to 14, that was like, I think, tail end of middle school, beginning of high school for me.
2002, I started high school. Or middle school, I believe, yeah.
Oh, you started middle school in 2000.
Yeah, I was in 2002. I would have been in 2nd grade. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Second grade, seventh grade.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wow, Matt. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So I
The
graduated.
only reason I know that is
in
because retroactively do it from 9/11. Ironically enough, because that was in 6th grade. 9/11 happened.
Yeah,
This
9/11
1
was
year
in
later.
6th grade for me as well. So yeah,
So you
either
would have
way,
just started 7. Yeah. So you would have just started.
yeah,
7
no,
the following year.
you're right. So either way,
Yeah.
point still stands.
Yeah, 7th, 8th, and then into high school.
Yeah, but then after I was done watching the third one, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, okay, I can see why Matt likes this, and then I'm just like, why did I miss this again?
Yeah. Well, you weren't watching One Saturday Morning. Too busy watching WB Kids anime.
Well, yeah, and also like Static Shock and stuff like that. But anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, but sincerely, like, I'll give you more. We'll get more details when we get through episodes and stuff.
All right. So you're ready to begin?
Yeah, well, let's start this
right.
off.
Let's begin with episode 1. To Mars
a stall.
Act 1. flushed innocence. We
Why are you giving this like a blood ocean kind of thing? It was more
I'm
like
just
a
doing Don LaFontaine's voice.
dude.
Who does these
It's like you're
trailers
trying.
in a world.
It,
Yeah.
it, it it's like you're trying to be in Spawn again. We already did that series, my dude.
No, because Metalocalypse is more like this.
Tony Twister, Act One.
No, yeah, fucking.
Anyway,
We begin with Principal Folsom, one of my favorite characters of the series, introducing the grand opening of a new bathroom from the bathroom steering committee. And we introduce the name of the school, X Middle School. We meet Robin Spencer, who is the head of the bathroom steering committee. She is
because that's a thing.
Yeah, apparently. Well, you're gonna realize this is there's a thing like this is an incredibly rich school because the amount of shit that they have going on is insane. Robin Spencer, head of the steering committee, she's giving a tour of the new bathroom. She goes over how many times a normal ex-middle school student will use the bathroom by the time they graduate. And as she's introducing the new toys that are equipped with the bidet, heated seats, all kinds of stuff like that, she opens the stall to see it completely vandalized with giant graffiti of the word stainless all over the stall, all over the toilet, everywhere.
Everywhere in red, red words and everything like that, and everyone's just like appalled by this.
Yeah,
which then we
horror.
cut to and then we cut immediately to like the safety patrol, like they're just investigating this.
Yeah, it's cordoned off with police tape and all kinds of stuff like that. Ingrid and Fillmore are on the scene. Fillmore's drinking out of a mug with a little rabbit cat face on it. He says the forensics is already on the scene. We meet Captain Vallejo, and he gives the rundown on the situation. They say that everyone had access to the area, but we don't know who possibly did it. Let's get some forensics team to cover these things, look for clues, find out who did this. We meet Tahama, who's the main forensics lead, and then we meet O'Farrell, who is the photographer of the team.
And the resident jokester too.
Yeah,
because every show, every cop show. And by the way, Vallejo is like, I think he's like the junior commissioner as well. So
he's the captain of the
he's like the typical police captain. And as we're all looking at this, they're just looking at all the toilets, looking at all the ink and everything. Like, and we're talking like we're in middle school, mind you, and they've got like fingerprints going off, taking all the pictures. Like, it is like they are like crazy going into this.
Yeah, Vallejo says he's going fishing with his dad next week and he needs this case wrapped up as soon as possible. Let's see. They say that the markers, they analyze them and they say that they're just regular school markers, but they're permanent ink. They say that the culprit used multiple colors, but we only see red in this initial stall that was tagged. Ingrid says that we should find an art expert to try to figure out who's behind this. She suggests maybe an art teacher. But Fillmore has another idea. He brings up Randall Julian, who's in a permanent in-school detention, which is a weird
permanent school detention. Like, sorry,
exactly. You're good. Ingrid says that hey, Fillmore, I'm new to the school. I don't know what that is or who he is. Fillmore gives a little backstory. Randall Julian was a macaroni artist that won a ton of competitions, but then eventually just slowly slipped into vandalism under the name Flava Sava.
Flava Sava, yep.
He tagged nearly every bathroom in the school except for the teacher's lounge bathroom, and Fillmore is the one who originally caught him.
And so, they go to meet this Julian, and we're talking like they have to like there's a teacher behind the desk. He's like, all right, give me all writing utensils of any kind, give me your pencils, your pens, markers of any kind, paints, like even looks at Ingrid and is like, mascara, lipstick. I'm like, dude, the kid's just in detention.
And like, I love a Fillmore's joke. He's like, hey, I don't have any either, Very cool. And then he says that he is never leaves the detention center and has an A average. The reason that they're so strict is because last year a janitor brought a golf pencil by accident, and Julian absolutely destroyed an eastern wall of the school within seconds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they meet Randall, and he's like slick back hair and his like orange jumpsuit. He's in
Dude,
jail.
dude. Okay, they walk in this all white room with like TV screens going on, having the classes go through. Picture an orange jumpsuit wearing Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
That's what he reminded me of. I was actually half expecting him to be like, "Hello, Ingrid."
Yeah. I drew the ice tagged with fava beans and a nice Chianti. They show him the images. Also, he's like has all of his classes piped in through video screen, which is also crazy. But yeah, he's unimpressed with the images of Stainless. So he's kind of like uninspired, unimpressive. Why are you wasting my time with this? And they say, hey, we're going to offer you less time if you're willing to give us some information. Hey, everyone deserves a second chance. We kind of see him kind of think for a second. And then he tells the safety patrollers, the artist Stainless writes right to left. He won't tell them any more, but he does know more at this time. He's like, I'll let you guys figure out why.
Yeah, he's like, when you find out more, come back to me.
Yeah. They go back to Vallejo, who's busy talking about, hey, man, we got to get this thing wrapped up. Ingrid says, like, hey, why would a kid, like, with such talent go so bad like that? And then Vallejo's like, hey, leave it for the counselors. We don't have any time for this. I have a fishing trip coming up. We need to figure out, what's going on. I have the 309 Waterman 452 Flex Rod 680 4th edition. He's expecting
the fact that you actually wrote that down, man.
Of course, there are so many amazing visual gags, like with newspapers, posters, and stuff in this show. You have to write down.
It's true.
Vallejo says, "We got to get this solved by the end of the day because I don't want this dragging out any longer." He thinks that hey, whoever did this must have a real grudge against the bathrooms. You got to figure out who's behind this. Then we cut to Ingrid and Fillmore with Robin going through the steering committee's files, trying to figure out who had access to the bathroom, what could happen. And this is when we learn that Ingrid has a photographic memory.
Yes, that is one of her quirks, is that she has a photographic memory.
Yep. Robin says that she wishes the school listened to her and they got brushed steel stalls. But of course, they would have looked so sweet, but they didn't listen, and look what happened. Ingrid finds a file on a club that was kicked out to make room for the bathroom steering committee. It's an alternative art club.
Oh, yep. Our three suspects in this alternative art club. We have Frankie Pollock, Tommy Howard, and Jean Grays.
Yeah, did you see the name of the alternate art club?
Oh, what was the name?
The Starving Renoirs.
Oh my god. The Starving Renoirs. Beautiful. I missed that. How did I miss that?
Frankie, Frankie's the first one they interviewed. You want to go? Yeah, what happened with Frankie?
Yeah. So they go over the Frankie because he's a potential suspect, and Frankie's like, "Wait, why would I do anything in a bathroom stall? I mean, rooms are so limiting. I cannot work if I'm like confined in four." And then like he just stands up and like dumps purple paint on him. He's like, "I call this interrogation of the self." Yeah. And then we get Tommy Howard, who's like, "Look, I'm working on I forget what exactly he is, but he has like a big old black dot on like a thing." He's like, you guys think see this as a dot? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, but it's more than that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, wow. But Tommy Howard, long story short, is like
700 coats of black marker on this.
That's what it was. It was 7. Yeah, he wanted to do 700. Yeah, 700 coats of black marker to make one what seemingly looks like a circle. But Tommy Howard is like, who cares about Stainless? I mean, actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of jealous that they're gaining more attention than me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then Jean Grays, she's making pottery out of like food, like all kinds of weird like food products.
Yeah, like fucking oatmeal kind of clay pottery stuff. But
And she also says, like I don't go to the bathroom because I don't even use indoor plumbing. And then there's like, okay, that's enough of that. We don't need to know.
It's like a little TMI, but yeah. So Jean Grace does not actually like indoor plumbing, apparently.
Yeah, so
So
she's gonna.
unfortunately, we're back to square one because I mean, none of them would be potential none of them would actually be candidates for this because and of course they're back in HQ, but
They get a call
Ingrid,
from Tahama.
yeah, oh yeah, Tahama calls them up, and what was that?
They find out that one of the tags, they see that there was ink was splashed out of the pen, and the marker started to go dry in the middle of the tag, so that they had to be looking for a red marker refill, and they should hit the school storage supplies. And also, the mark should have, marked on their hand because it's permanent ink and it's still the same day. So
right,
the culprit
like on
should
the
have a
hand
mark
or
on
the
them.
wrist or something like that. Yeah.
They hit the supply room and they see a hooded figure stealing a bunch of black pens. They then engage in the first chase of the series, where
oh my god, the first chase of the series.
They rubber band, like a giant rubber band on like office chairs, and then they he slams the chair on him. It's a cool ass long fight. They catch him with a bunch of, I believe it's rubber cement.
Yes, it is rubber cement.
Yeah, and they managed to capture him. They pull down the hood, and it's Tommy.
Dun dun dun. And then we cut straight to Act 2.
Act 2. A smearing of justice.
Just before we go any further, fellow listeners, just so you know, every single episode so far is in a 3 acts kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Tommy is like getting publicity, and he's like, "Yeah, I did it. I'm stainless. So what? You know what I'm saying?" And of course, Vallejo's like, "All right, take him away. Good job, Fillmore. You figured it out."
Yeah. Robin is then seen asking Principal Folsom to sign an invoice for the new brushed steel toilets, and she says, "No, that's not going to be necessary because they caught the culprit, so it's not going to happen again." O'Farrell is then with the other patrol officers, and they're all trying to in the office trying to hide from Vallejo. As he enters the room, he sees a box and he's like, "Oh, my rod's finally here." He opens it up and it's a big giant spring with all these loaded fish things in it, and then a big mouth Billy Bass.
Yep, a big old Billy Bass, and they're all laughing. He's like, yeah, okay, very funny, guys. But then as they're after this whole prank thing, Fillmore actually sees the bagged markers. He's like, wait a minute, something's not right here, because he goes over to a Vallejo and he's like, "Hey, I have something. I have a bad feeling about this." And Vallejo's like, "No, please don't. We literally got a signed confession from him." And Fillmore's like, "But see, Stainless uses red markers, right?" And Tommy, not only did he steal black markers, and he holds up the black markers, but we also checked his wrists. There's no red on him. He's actually clean. But then why would he do it? He probably just wanted the attention.
Yeah, because we see they held up a newspaper when Vallejo's talking about the signed confession, and do you see what the newspaper said?
What was the article?
It said, "Now I'm famous." Know what I'm saying? It was a quote from him.
And then Vallejo just reluctantly kind of rolls his eyes. He's like, all right, Fillmore, Ingrid, you're still on the case, but keep quiet about it.
Yeah, and also, while they're walking out of the office building, he says, "Why would a person smear their own name?" And this is when Fillmore's like, Ingrid's like, "Wait a minute, smear?" And then she figures out, oh my god, Stainless. She pulls out a big giant chalkboard and says Stainless is left-handed, because she goes over why they write that way, because they would smear the handwriting the way they were tagging before if they were doing it normal.
Right.
And this is when they say only 15% of the school is left-handed, so that doesn't really lower it down too much. But they do go back to Randall Julian.
Yep, and Julian's like, very good. You figured it out. You figured out that they're finally a left-handed one. But, that's all I'm going to give you. And, of course, Fillmore and Ingrid are like, here, how about this? And they put down a big book of, school supplies, art supplies. And Ingrid's like, we'll let you have free range of this while you're supervised, obviously, if you can give us more information on this.
Yeah. They also dribble some macaroni in front of him to entice some more, and then they say, there's 14 possible bathrooms. You gotta tell us which one's gonna be the next one. And this is when we actually get the flashback of Randall Julian's backstory. He says he won 7 consecutive art fairs in a row, but as he grew older and he started to win less people started to care about his winnings. And he's like, I had my diehard fans. You can see his parents still care, but he's like, but I guess I wanted to be immortal. I wanted to live forever. And that's why I became Flava Sava to, get more fame and everything like that. He gets back out of the flashback and he says, it's going to be this bathroom. This is going to be your next target. And that's when the officers leave to tell him, like, hey, thanks, man. You really helped us out. As they leave, we see that they drop a small single pencil.
that literally lands perfectly under. Oh, yeah, by the way, like, the door for this, the teacher at the desk has to literally buzz them in, buzz them out, and we're talking like giant steel-plated door that opens and closes, and the pencil is just underneath it perfectly for it to close down and just like land so that he could actually escape.
Yep. Let's see. They get a call about the while they're on stakeout to the bathroom that's going to be the next target, they talk about, okay, would you rather have 2-month-old mac and cheese or spider meringue pie? And they like just going over some like what would you rather's while they're while they're on stakeout.
What was Fillmore's was like what like
he chose the mac and cheese. Yeah,
Fillmore chose the mac and cheese. Yeah, squirrel burger or potted soil.
Yeah.
And of course Ingrid's like, I would take the soil. Then as they're like going through the would you rather's of what would you rather eats, they get a call like, hey, there's you guys got someone coming in, and they're like, oh, okay. And as they look, they find.
Yep, Frankie is sneaking in the girl's bathroom with a bunch of art supplies. They track him down, they bust in, and inside they see that he's just sketching toilets because it's a weird, creepy hobby he has. He likes to sketch toilets.
And even Fillmore's like, okay, seriously, dude, this is harmless, but seriously, stick to the guy's room, please.
Yeah, he's just like, okay, sure, don't worry about it, officers. He opens the door, and we see Stainless has once again tagged this bathroom in the 30 seconds they had. They were distracted. He got the entire bathroom. With a big giant stainless across all the stall windows. They also see that it's still wet, but just as they do that, the door opens and the bidet sprays them all the way across the room, which is a strong ass fucking bidet.
Right, and as they're as Fillmore's getting blasted with water, a silhouette of someone runs away and hops up like a fucking second story awning kind of thing in the bathroom.
Yeah, like a shelf in the bathroom to get out those little mini window.
And then we cut, and after that is when we cut to Act 3. Caught red-handed. And of course, we start with in the HQ where angry Principal Folsom is just like, all right, listen. Stainless is back on. I want you guys to find this guy right now. And if you don't find him, this HQ would be a really good. I can't believe I'm
yoga
saying
studio.
A faculty yoga studio. I'm like, I had to stop and I'm like, are you fucking serious? That's what you went with. And of course, Vallejo is just like, guys, yeah, we need you saw that just now, right? Come on, we gotta find some angles and stuff.
Yeah, they go back to Randall Julian, but as they approach his detention center, they see that he has escaped as the teacher runs out screaming, oh my god, he's escaped somehow, and they go in and he's completely defaced every single corner of the detention center.
Flava Sava.
Yeah, with Flava Sava. Just as they go in and see this, he turns on the camera and from the classroom and says hello, officers. You see that I have escaped. And Randall, you can't get away with this. What are you doing? And he says hey, there's not going to be any deal. I have all the, hey, if you come back, turn yourself in, we can give you some art supplies. And then he shows he has a bunch of markers. He's like, I don't need any more art supplies. I'm all set. But he says, I will give you another clue to who Stainless is. I'll see you later, officers, as he escapes. He sees a newspaper that shows Robin Spencer using her left hand to cut the ribbon. Also,
Bum, bum, bum.
she's wearing a white glove, which she's been wearing the entire episode.
And of course,
And
like
we get
returning to
Fillmore's. Yeah, but no. First, we get Fillmore's main catchphrase. He goes, "Disco."
well, he's got quite a few, but yeah, disco.
Oh yeah.
Disco. We gotta lead. But before they actually do anything, they actually go into Robin's office, and as they're looking through everything, we find out that Robin has been trying to get brush steel stalls approved 43 different times, and every single time that she was ignored.
Yep, and she says that they would have been incredibly anti-graffiti if they did go with that choice. They also see.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you go ahead. I was gonna say they see the invoice for the stainless stalls is arriving right now.
Yep, right now. And then of course we get to the loading dock, and Robin's like, all right, just put him over here. Finally, everything's gonna be very good. And Fillmore's like, oh yeah, is it now stainless? And Robin's like, what are you talking about, Ingrid? They're like, you have no proof of any of this. Ingrid pulls off Robin's glove, and right on her wrist, plain as day, red ink.
Yep. She then tosses the papers at the team and then flees into the stacks of brushed steel stalls. Robin said she begins to monologue as she says that the students, she's going to be the student that put an end to graffiti forever. So then she'll be the class president, valedictorian. She'll have the world. Fillmore says that no, this is all going to end here. As she runs, Fillmore jumps into a mail cart, and he's chasing her through all the stalls while she tosses him over. He finds Vallejo's fishing rod, and she uses it to snag a big stack of bubble wrap just in front of her, and he manages to wrap her in it, capturing her. As she...
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, don't forget, as all of this is happening, they wrap her up in bubble wrap. Fillmore crashes into a whole bunch of macaroni.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of just it's all crazy. But they finally managed to catch her.
Phil makes some bad puns, very fun.
Oh yeah, and then of course Vallejo walks in and is like, "Hey, what happened? You guys get him? Yeah, we caught stainless." Like, "Oh, good. I'm glad. Now I can actually go to my fishing trip in peace." And then you see that the fishing rod that was used is also broken.
Yeah, you see that Fillmore gently put it against the wall so it didn't get damaged, but then when Vallejo burst in, he opened the door and it slammed and destroyed it. So it was Vallejo's technique.
And then, of course, after we find out it's broken, we get the Vallejo Fillmore!
Yeah. Folsom is glad that they caught the tagger, but is pissed that they destroyed all those stalls and a month's worth of macaroni and let Randall Julian escape. As they say, like, okay, there's still so much stuff we gotta do to wrap this up. We cut to Randall. They say, where could he possibly be? And then we see Randall in the teacher's lounge bathroom, which is the one space he never had tagged. As he goes in to start on the stall, we see Fillmore confront him once again.
Fillmore's like, dude, you don't want to do this. And of course, Randall's like, yes, I do. Flavor Saver will actually tag everything in the school. And Fillmore's like, dude, all of your art has been actually put in like the library or other things. It's actually like people see this as masterpieces. He's like, oh yeah? Is that why I got 3rd place, 4th place, honorable mention? It's like, well, if you're really gonna tag, why don't you put your actual name on there then? And then, Randall goes to try to do it, but he can't, because Fillmore's like, yeah, I mean, you want to make a real change, start putting your own name down, be famous for you, not for Flavor Saver. And every time Randall tries to, he just gives up. He can't do it.
Yeah, Fillmore explains that they would be showing the world how he's fallen. There are still people who care about his work today, and like he really shouldn't be doing this. He drops the marker and he convinces him to go back into detention. And this is when Randall's like, "Hey, you didn't happen to know where any macaroni is?" And he's like, "You know what? I think I do." Bum, bum, bum. And that is the end of episode 1 of Fillmore.
Oh my god.
Very, very fun. And yeah, it was direct. Everything with Randall Julian was like a direct Hannibal series reference. Have you seen all those movies or what?
What, the Hannibal movies? The
Yeah.
freaking like Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and
Yeah.
Red Dragon.
Or the very fantastic Hannibal TV show, or the
I've only seen
Manhunt
the
original version. Yeah.
I've only seen the first, like the Anthony Hopkins trilogy,
Okay.
and not bad, not bad at all.
Yeah. I would say there was a movie before the Anthony Hopkins one adaptation of the books called Manhunter, which from the 80s, I think. It was like slightly different, but then the Hannibal TV series, I will say I've rewatched it from beginning to end multiple times with Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal. It's incredible. It's another procedural cop show, but it's so goddamn good. It's so beautifully shot, and like all the mysteries. There's like crazy ass murderers in that show. That Hannibal's helping take down. It's really fucking good. It's really, really good, worth your time. So I'm assuming after watching this episode, you saw the insanely amazing voice cast this show has been, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah.
The only one that interested me was they got because when I was watching this episode, the principal, I'm like, hold on, I've heard her before. Where have I heard her? So I had to look her up, and I can't believe the owl lady Ida is the principal. I'm like,
Wendy
this
Malick,
makes everything 10 times better now. There were a few other names that seemed familiar, but
I was gonna say she's also the voice of you know about BoJack Horseman or anything like that.
that wasn't really my show, but I know she's in it.
Have you seen what was it, Emperor's New Groove, the movie? Or the show?
Yeah. That's right. She's Potch's wife, right?
Yeah, she's the wife in that. Yep. She's also she's just a huge voice actress in a billion things, but she's fantastic. Also, the voice of Randall Julian, aka Flava Sava, it was Josh Peck.
And who is that?
Drake and Josh.
Oh, it was
Snow
Josh.
Day. Yeah, Josh from Drake and Josh, Snow Day, all that kind of stuff. Did you catch the voice of Robin Spencer?
No, I did not.
I mean, come on. That's freaking Mae Whitman, Katara herself.
Oh my god. I glanced over her. I glanced over that name, and I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god, yep, it makes sense now.
She was the culprit. Obviously Ingrid, one of the most big, giant voice actresses of all goddamn time, still the absolute legend, Tara Strong.
Yeah, no, you're right with that one, yeah. Tara Strong.
You know Lauren Tom, the voice of Tahama.
What else was she in?
She does Amy in Futurama. She's Connie from King of the Hill. She's Jinx from Teen Titans. She's just like
got it. Honestly, you had me at the first two, but also adding Jinx to the mix. Yeah, okay. Yeah, man, a lot. See, this is why I like having Matt on the team, because Matt knows his shit about actors. I'm just like, what were they in? You know, the person who did this and this and this. I'm like, oh yeah, I know who that is.
The character we didn't really mention much, I think his name's Joseph Anza, the other safety patrol officer. He's the one who, he had only a couple lines. He's the one who bagged the mark and stuff like that. Danny Tamborelli from Pete and Pete and he did the son in GTA 5.
Those two were certainly things you just listed.
He's great. Also in that show that I mentioned also recently, Space Cases, I think is the name. It was a Nickelodeon show about like these kids in a spaceship in space. And of course, I was
gonna say, I haven't heard of that one before.
Another weird show I watched. I watched way too much TV growing up. Of course, the voice of the announcer and all of the segments in between. I already mentioned his name once, Don LaFontaine. And he's the original In a World. The trailer dude.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He's the one who literally made that meme, the In a World famous. He's the voice actor who does like all the trailer voices and stuff in the 90s and 80s and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, I know the guy you're
actually
talking
him.
about.
Yeah, he's
Wait, that was
doing
actually
the
him?
action. Yeah, he actually does all the interstitials for this whole series.
Oh my gosh, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, and then of course, freaking the main lead character himself, Orlando Brown.
I forget who is Orlando Brown.
Orlando Brown, he was Sticky Webb in The Proud Family. I know him mainly from Fillmore, but also he was in a ton of stuff. He did a bunch of like black shows in the way back in the way, like the Moesha series, or like I think he guessed on like some of the Cosby Show stuff. He was a black child actor during the early aughts and the 90s and stuff like that.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So pretty big cast.
Hell yeah. And also one last thing for this interstitial art thing, this like the whole thing with his parents and the art thing. Do your parents have any art of yours from when you were a kid?
No, not anymore.
I'll say there's a bowl I made in like second grade, I think, that my parents still have like in their front drawer. It's like a shitty little plaything. And I think I wrote the year on it. It's literally probably over 30 years old at this point. It's like a little ceramic glass like bowl plate thing I made. I have no idea where the hell they kept it, but they still have it like 30 years later.
That's interesting, actually. No, but I don't think my parents have any of my art anymore. But then again, I wasn't that good at it anyway.
No, okay, yeah, it was fantastic. But yeah, it was a great. Yeah, so have you never seen the show before? What were you thinking after that first episode? Just like on the spot.
Oh, wait, sorry. What was the question?
I was saying on the spot. What did you think of the first episode?
Oh, holy shit! Like I said. After I watched this one, I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. I see why Matt likes this. But yeah, no, I really liked it. I didn't know what to expect going in, except for like air quote cop show, and I could tell you that it takes itself seriously, but at the same time, it doesn't take itself seriously, and I love that they just play on that.
Yeah, as I like said,
that they're like.
I was saying this is pretty much the opposite of Metalocalypse, which is a comedy show that's like about like contextually in context it would be serious subject matter, but it's not taking it seriously at all. And this is incredibly like silly high school middle school antics, but it's taken deadly seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. And oh my gosh, I love it when people do that.
Hell yeah. So, are you ready for episode 2?
Yeah, let's get started.
All right. This is another one that's very special to my heart. Episode 2. Test of the Tested.
Act 1. By a lobster. Betrayed.
Ingrid is taking the Sadie 9 test. We see a big old thing on the board. She takes it, finishes it first, leaves the room, and the teacher says, "Wow, Ingrid, you finished it that quickly? Well, how do you feel about it?" And then she's kind of like, "About taking the tests, bad. Having how I did on it, I'm sure I did fine." And the teacher's like, "Oh my God, you're so smart. This is so great. You're gonna really change the school with this, with these grades." As he's doing that, we still know the teacher, Mr. Collinwood, is the name of the teacher. A student approaches, seeming to be in some kind of distress about something revolving around the test. Outside of class, we see a student protesting the test with a sign and saying, "STOP, the Sadie 9. She keeps repeating this over and over again throughout the episode. Then we see, as Ingrid kind of ignores the student and walks away, that another protester joins her with a thing saying, "Ban Lobsty." And then the girl tells her, "Hey, get your own patrol spot. This is my spot." We see that Fillmore is in a patrol office also having just finished the test, and he notices that Ingrid has a bunch of flowers on her desk. He says, "What is that, from a secret admirer?" She's like, "No, they're from Folsom. She's just thanking me for," it says, "Thanks, Ingrid, for knocking the Sadie 9 out of the park." And he's like, why would she do this? And then she goes on.
Honestly, it literally looks like that she's very intelligent for some reason, and everyone knows it. I wish I knew about it.
Yeah. And this episode of she's incredibly smart, and that's why she's on the team. Folsom, after that, when she says, "Yeah, it's good press for the students, it's good press for the school," but she's like, "I saw people taking that test, and nobody was happy. Everyone hates it. No one's gonna be happy about this." It's a one-size-fits-all multiple-choice question test. How does that actually represent anything with how people are doing? As they are watching, there's like, who could be upset about it? And then we see the Lopsy protester again crosses the screen. He's like, oh, well, you tell me who's not upset about that. Fillmore then gets a cryptic phone call. It says, yeah, the eagle is in the nest, or whatever he says. And he was kind of like, Fillmore, I know you and the other guys are going to buy me a scooter for my birthday. I don't want to look like I chase fads, okay? Don't do this. And he's like, girl, you have a Abraham Lincoln lunchbox. No one's concerned about you chasing fads. And also, we're not getting you something. What are you talking about?
And of course, she's like, okay, good point, but still, come on, dude. I know you're getting me this.
Then we see Mr. Collinwood is having the tests delivered on a dolly with a big giant crate of all of them together. Just as Lopsy, the school mascot, leaps out. And he's like, oh, Lopsy, hey, what are you doing here? I love Lopsy. And he gets like a menacing close-up on the lobster's googly eyes. And then he gasps as Lopsy grabs the dolly and steals all the test results. Yeah, he grabs a phone and calls the patrol offices, and it goes straight to Fillmore's desk. Vallejo bursts in, yelling at Fillmore, hey, did you destroy a sandwich machine while you were, doing another mission? And he's like, hey, have you had those dumb sandwiches? And then you see Vallejo's actively eating one. He's just like, well, of course you have. I'll deal with it later. I gotta go find Lopsy. Bye. They go into the boys' locker room, and Ingrid has her face covered as she says, like, okay, is it clear, Fillmore? He's like, oh, yeah, it's all clear. And then she sees a kid who's still going to change. She yells at him. And he's like, oh, snap, I'm sorry.
Whoops, sorry. By the way, it's actually clear now. And, of course, as they're going through the locker, they go to the locker room part where the mascot usually is. And Ingrid's like, here, it's like, Fillmore tries it. He's like, it's locked. And Ingrid's like, hey, I got this. Gets out, what was it, like a safety pin or something?
It was a library card.
Yeah, it was a library card. And she's like, back from my days when I was a delinquent. And as she's trying, she goes, She actually unlocks it. She goes, wow, that was a little tough. It was locked from the inside. And when we open it up, we see a kid in his boxers with a football helmet backwards, trapped around a pipe in a Chinese finger trap.
Yep. This kid's name is Elliot Funston, and he is the mascot of the school. As they cut to the safety patrol cordoning off the area for the crime, the kid does explain that somebody beat him up, stole the costume, and went out the window. The patrollers are dusting for clues as they're trying to find out what happened. Folsom comes in and she's pissed because the tests being stolen means that everyone's going to have to take them again because these tests are due in Washington by the end of the week. They have 48 hours to solve this case, or 1,200 students are going to need to take this test again.
And then we get the most, and then we get the most random fucking thing ever. A kid wearing like fucking swim trunks and like a floaty is just like, no, in like a thick French accent. It's like, it took me, I've been studying that for 3 weeks. It took me 3 hours to do it. 3 hours. I can't take it again.
He also
I've been
tells
stuttering
us
so much, I've just developed this French accent. I'm like, dude, kid, relax.
Yeah, he also finally tells us what the fuck the Saturday 9 stands for. It's the Census Aptitude Tryout Tests Tested Yearly. It's a weird backronym.
Yeah, it really is. But, and then of course...
I think it says, Census Aptitude Tryout Tested Yearly. 9. I don't know what the 9 is for.
I think it might be the ninth time they've done this.
Yeah. Folsom says, okay, Ingrid, don't worry. I know you're going to be the curve breaker once we get those test results back, so it's going to be perfect. Don't worry about it. Oh, and if you guys don't, I'm going to turn the Safety Patrol office into a tap studio.
yeah, that's right. It was a tap dance studio. It's just like... that's all I can say about it.
Yeah. As Elliot's being taken out of the room by the nurse, we see that also his boxers are ripped down the butt, and Ingrid gets a full view in her photographic memory of that. She's like, oh god, come on, man.
Like, really, dude, you need to buy some new boxers.
Yeah. They look outside of the mascot room, and they see a giant, they start dusting out footprints outside the window where the person escaped through. Just as they see a weird giant foam wheels being transported for some kind of sporting equipment by the loading docks again. They continue to scope it out, but they see somebody suspicious. they see, they begin talking also about the scooter purchase and how she's not going to need it, and please don't do this, you guys. But they see Augie Sampson, a known crook, sneaking around with a box around that area. As they see the safety patrol officers, he flees for it. And this is
thus we enter Act
2.
The multiple choices. We'll get that eventually.
I got it perfect. As they run, they jump into the giant foam wheelie things, and they start wheeling down. They do that tire roll down the hill thing, and they see like a random cheerleaders doing their pyramid thing. Now this bit is very funny,
right? Just my gosh! No, keep going.
I'll say, the cheerleading coach is telling them how sturdy they are, and she says, "You guys are as sturdy as a Geodude using his hardened attack. You guys are nothing to knock you guys down."
That's what she said?
Yeah, you didn't go back and listen?
I need to go back and listen to it now.
Yeah, she said, you students are as sturdy as a Geodude doing his hardened attack.
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. How?
They got away with that?
Yeah.
So anyway, as they're doing even more chasing, and apparently they get to like these big tires and they start rolling down to the docks. Augie thinks he's safe because Fillmore lands into the lake. He's like, ha! He's like, yeah, have a nice swim. And then all of a sudden he turns around and Ingrid like slams into him, and he goes in there, and they're like, okay, now where's the mascot? What do you mean the mascot? The mascot outfit that you used to steal the Satty Nines. He's like, what are you talking about? They open up his box to find a giant box of tartar sauce packets from the cafeteria.
Yeah, like, what the hell is this? And he's just like, it's tartar sauce. I love this stuff. You guys are busting me for that, right? And you're just like, oh my god, what the hell? He says that he knows who might have had something to do with the test if you guys pardon him for this weird little indiscretion. And this is when they go to the Egg Rollery, a restaurant that exclusively sells egg rolls, apparently. They talk about
with a name like Egg Rollery,
Yeah, of course. They say Seth Chrissy had a freak out during the test. Ingrid corroborates this by saying, yeah, I was there. He looked really upset, and he was wearing an Egg Rollery t-shirt, and Fillmore's like, yeah, so that's why we're here. And she's like, actually, also, you owe me lunch for getting me soaked in that stupid wheel chase. They order food. Did you see what they ordered?
I forget what they ordered.
Ingrid gets the egg-free egg roll supreme, and Filmore gets the ain't too proud to beg roll special, double duck sauce.
Wow, wow, I love that. So they're talking about just like
why would Seth freak out?
Yeah, why would he break? Why would he break out? Why would he why would he freak out about this kind of thing? Like they're trying to figure out, why he would do it.
Yeah, and also they see that he's actually in the background of the scene reading a newspaper that says overachievers freaking out about the test. Seth then sees the opportunity. He sees Ingrid still in line, and Fillmore is kind of sitting down by the table or by the jukebox. And then he grabs a giant egg roll supreme and throws it at Fillmore to distract him as he flees out the front door. They give chase. Ingrid chases him while Fillmore says he's going to cut him off. They jump through a gigantic Jello mold. Ingrid and slow-mo chase down through there. As they're running, they cross by Elliot. He says, "Hey, Ingrid, got some new boxer shorts." He's like, "Great, thanks. Great for you."
Yeah, great, thanks.
He also has a big bouquet of flowers. We then see the giant bridge is lifting up. And Seth is stopped by this. He turns to Ingrid and says, "Come on, you saw that test. There's no way that can really. That shouldn't be all that's intelligent. You can measure your intelligence with that stupid thing." And she's like, "Yeah, I know, but there's no reason to do what you did." And he's like, "You understand? Come on, you have to let me go." And she kind of hesitates for a second, closes her eyes, and then he says, "Thanks, Ingrid," and he runs for it. And then she opens her eyes and says, "No, wait." As we see that Fillmore is the one who actually caught him, and he says, "Ingrid, back at the station, we need to talk."
Yep. And then back at the station, as Vallejo is like interrogating Seth, Fillmore's like, Ingrid, what the heck? You're about to let him go. And Ingrid's like, look, I cracked under the pressure. I get that. And besides, I know Seth wouldn't have done this. I mean, I forget some of the things that she listed, but this
She
guy's
says
like,
he's smart. Yeah, he's smart and creative. He's doing a comic book about this pig named Shmagoogie. He does like really good art projects. He's really caring and kind, but you can't see that on a dumb multiple choice question test. And Fillmore's like, hey, there are other, yeah, the test is bad, but there are other ways to protest besides stealing it. We can't, let him get away with this.
and then of course, as the interrogation goes, and he's like, Fillmore and Ingrid walk in, and he's like, all right, where's the mascot outfit? And Seth's like, wait, what are you talking about? The one that you used to steal the Statty Nines. It's like, I didn't wait, what? And they look inside his box, because there is a box on his, and they find out that it's a box full of all of the answers. He was cheating on the Statty Nine. And he's like, wait, these are cheats. These aren't the Statty Nines. And Seth's like, yeah. Isn't that why you caught me? Because you found out I was cheating on the test?
And they're back at square one.
Yep, all the way back at square one. And of course, as a joke, Seth's like, wait a minute. So does that mean that you're not gonna knock me for, cheating? Rolls eyes. And then we cut straight into Act 3.
The
final examination. Okay, now you're just sounding like Senator Palpatine.
Good. Yeah.
Good. Do it.
False.
Anyway.
Folsom has them in her office, and her phone is ringing off the hook. And she's like, you guys hear that? That's been going on nonstop since these tests have been missing. You have 12 hours left, or I'm going to re-administer this test. She does a nice little dramatic glasses on, glasses off when Fillmore begs her for more time. Ingrid, she says, okay.
Well, no, because Fillmore was, not Fillmore, the principal was like, yeah, you have 12 hours, and she was already sounding like she was going to start distributing the tests, and Fillmore's like, wait a minute, you said we have 12 hours, we'll catch him, don't worry about it, and that's when she does the glasses on, glasses off, and says, all right, make it so.
Yep. Or else the test is going to be administered. But Ingrid can't go with you. Ingrid, you need to report to a facilitator to talk to the brightest students so she can help them heal and prep for the retake that possibly is going to happen. Inside this counseling session, we see a number of students in a circle discussing their feelings about possibly having to retake this test. One of them saying that her mother helped her study for the weeks leading up to it, and the counselor says, hey, you guys, I know you guys put a lot of hard work into this, but you guys still have the answers up in your head. You guys can still retake this. Don't worry. Don't get too stressed out about it. And she's like, how do you kids feel? And they say a bunch of long, elaborate words about their feelings. And
like, everyone is just like, like, repulse, this and this. And one person says Machiavellian. That's what it was, Machiavellian. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, what's sad? I actually understood that one.
Yeah, describing the person who's behind this theft. And then, of course, outside we hear again, STOP, the Statty Nine.
And while that's happening, Fillmore, Danny, Anza, and Tahama are like trying to find, using the the Bird Watchers Club infrared.
Thermal imaging glasses. Yeah, I was like, what the hell?
because and this one actually makes sense. It's like, hey, so it was a mascot. It was a mascot. Outfit, right?
Costume.
How hot was it? It was like 83 degrees outside. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, here's the thing. Inside the mascot outfit, it gets hot. So we'll be able to find it easier with the fucking infrared things. And then as they look, they find the costume abandoned outside, close to the boys' locker room. So Fillmore, for some reason, decides to put it on. And then they look. And then he's like,
we got back to Ingrid for a second. She's begins to follow the protester.
Yeah, she starts following the protester just a little bit, and
she goes to her locker, and we see that she has a big book. She opens her locker, smiling at something, just as Elliot comes by and is just like, "Hey, Ingrid, what are you doing over there?" And yeah,
she's upset.
She's just like, what the heck? Yeah, the girl closes her locker and sees Ingrid standing right in front of it. And this is when we learn she is Enid Quintara is her name.
Yep.
Yeah, she thanks Elliot for telling her about her just being stalked. And Elliot's kind of like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Don't worry about it, Enid. And he kind of like, slinks off. We see that the flowers are in her locker. Or we'll get that in a bit. Fillmore, and the officers take the Lopsy costume.
Yep, they take the costume. Fillmore, for some reason, puts it on. And they go back to the window, the outside of the window. And Fillmore's like, hey, wait a minute. Something ain't right. He opens up the window, and he tries to go in with the costume on. He's like, wait a minute. I can't fit in here. The window's way too narrow. Hello? Looks in, and you see, like, a piece of cloth. He's like, what have we here?
Yeah, we cut back to Enid talking about how intelligence shouldn't be boiled down to a simple number for the man, and Ingrid agrees with Enid, saying like, yeah, but some people want to take that test. They worked really hard on it, and it shouldn't be for nothing. We shouldn't allow them to get stolen. Enid then shows Ingrid she doesn't have the tests. What is in her locker is actually chrysanthemums from her secret admirer. They're her favorite flower, which, little fucking random aside, my favorite flower as well. I love chrysanthemums.
Nice. They're a pretty flower.
Yeah. Ingrid says, wait a minute, as she sees the chrysanthemums, this is a photographic memories acting up. Like a spider sense. She remembers that Elliot had those same flowers earlier in the day. This is when we cut back to the safety patrol team where Joseph says that Elliot claimed the attacker put the suit on first and then went out the window. They find Elliot's boxer shorts where he pretended so he was pretending to be in prison. Why would he do that? Ingrid calls just as they're beginning to try to find where Elliot went, and she gives them the motive as well as they have the evidence now. They have the motive. It's for his crush who hates the tests. Ingrid will go after him where Fillmore tells her, hey, your gift is in the HQ closet, so check it out. She opens the door and she sees her scooter.
Yep, her brand new scooter.
Hell yeah. She corners Elliot just as he's beginning to flee or go exit the school, and he says, turn around, Elliot, you turn yourself in. And she's like, no, I think I'm going to save myself. He throws a bunch of milk balls on the floor, making her crash her new scooter. Just as he flees down another hallway, we see another menacing shot of Lopsty's googly eyes around the top of a window.
Yeah, right?
Fillmore turns and blocks his way and begins to chase Elliot the opposite way wearing the Lopsy costume. He's not able to catch up in this clunky costume, so he sees Stumpy the janitor and says, hey, give me that waxer. And he says, well, this whole time while all the protesting signs have been going around, Stumpy the janitor's been having a sign on his back saying, how's my waxing?
How's my waxing? And of course he's like, Stumpy, I need to borrow that waxer. He's like, be gentle. She's all I got. And then, of course, for some reason, he turns the waxer on max speed and starts chasing this kid at really good, getting to catch up. He's gaining on this kid with a waxer.
He snaps at him with the claws but misses him. And the waxer flies out of the front door window and explodes.
It just explodes. And of course, Elliot's like, nice try, Fillmore. Guess I'll be out. And Ingrid appears and is like, hey, you dropped something, Elliot. Drop some more malted milk balls, and he just slips and falls. And she's like, you really gotta, not eat those. They're bad for you.
This is when they finally round up. They say the tests are finally safe. Elliot is facing suspension, but he still gets the girl somehow. As we see Elliot's with Enid, and they're kind of lovey-dovey looking at the window with each other. And Ingrid's like, no, he didn't, win. He just got to the girl of his dreams, but he still is going to, be punished for the situation. This is when Folsom calls Vallejo. He's like, yeah, we did it. We solved the case, Folsom. All the tests are back. And he's like, wait a minute, what? A $300 mascot costume? A $6,000 floor waxer? Fillmore! They're already out of the room. They're walking down the halls, discussing Ingrid's lapse in judgment. she's like, I don't know, I know I shouldn't have done it like that, but like, and this is when he gives a speech about like, hey, there are other ways to protest. We can't, give into the chaotic evil side of, destroying stuff or stealing. Let's go get some more egg rolls because we didn't get to finish our lunch. And they say, what do you, and Fillmore's like, hey man, it's a bad test, but what are you gonna do? And as he turns around, he says, oh, I don't think that's against the law. As we see a big giant sign on the front of the school that says Ingrid Third says the real crime is the Sadie Nine.
And that's where the episode ends.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
Fun episode. Fun episode.
It was. It was an absolutely fun episode. And I'm just like sitting here like, this was what set in stone that I like just how ridiculous this is.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my gosh. It's like, again, like we said in the previous episode, it was like, it takes itself far too seriously, but it is absolutely like just, oh, it's ridiculous. And I love every freaking moment of it.
But it actually does have a lot to actually say. Standardized testing in schools has been controversial. I know a lot of places have actually stopped doing it in recent years. I assume since we're the same age, you also had to take the OATs, I think it was, back in the 2000s.
Hold on,
it was the Ohio aptitude tests.
Oh, crap. It was called something else. But yes, I had to take some kind of aptitude test. Like, in like grade school and middle school, it was like proficiency test, and it was the... I forget what it was. Oh, no. In middle school, it was something else. OGTs, that's what it was.
OGT, yep, OGTs.
That's what it was. It was the OGTs. And then, of course...
I remember they threatened not being able to graduate if you failed it and shit. God.
Yep. Yes, they did. I mean, fortunately, I was... Like, I was that kid that never studied, but on a basic level on those tests, I scored high enough where, like... and I didn't like perfectly ace them, but I did pass them like with flying colors to the point where I could graduate, and I'm just like, wow, these are easy. But like, I mean, they weren't actually easy, but like, I never studied for a single test, and I still would do well.
Yeah, they were very, very difficult. I remember I used to have to go to like study sessions and shit for them. And like, I like would like, go to the summer classes or whatever to try to, not summer classes, like weekend classes and shit and like study groups to try to figure out how to fucking do that shit because I really hated it. I was always a very mid test taker, and of course, like I always famously say, I like failed English almost every year of school, and I'm a published author. But no, like I did terrible in those kind of things. Yeah.
Wow, really, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull this joke. All right. Yeah. Wow, you failed English? How? That's your primary language.
Exactly. I just really hated it.
I
literally read like a dozen books a fucking month now. But yeah, I absolutely hated it, the class. I didn't like the test taking. They really suck. But also the actual major thing about the controversy around them is that the fact that they are things like the OGTs and stuff like that are like standardized for everyone in the district. But a lot of those schools don't get the funding to support that kind of stuff. Like, the school's funding is actually like tied to how their test scores do. So schools that get good test scores get better funding, but that contradictorily fucks over schools that don't have a lot of budget, or poorer schools don't get the infrastructure to help them do better on those kind of tests. And they also say that they have like a lot of biases on their subject matter and stuff like that, like a lot of cultural and racial kind of issues with the tests. That they're not like it's a blanket simple multiple choice question test for multiple for a bunch of different students, and like they mentioned in this episode, it doesn't really measure creativity or like non-math and history related like intelligence and stuff like that. So it's really bad. Fortunately, they've done away with them in a lot of places. But after that, have you ever done any other like college course testings, aptitude tests?
Yeah, the big one, right?
What?
I took the ACT.
Oh, that was the graduation one, wasn't it? That was for graduating high school.
I didn't think so. I thought that was a college like aptitude kind of test thing.
I don't know.
Or was it the SAT? Or was it the SATs?
Yeah, SATs.
Either way, I took
SAT
the
was
ACT and the SATs, and I was scored very mediocrely on those.
the SATs for college admission.
That's what it was. Yeah, I scored. I mean, I still was able to get into college that 1 year, but like, I scored per high end of mediocrity, but I was pretty middle of the ground on that one because that one was bullshit.
Yeah, I think I did mid on that one too. I went to a shitty community college for 1 year, used those credits to transfer to an actual university, which is a nice little way around it. And then I got a nice little degree from a real college that I still don't use to this day. But also, when I was in school, did you like you didn't? I mean, obviously, you didn't go anything like law or medical field related, but I did take the PL stats, the pre-law LSATs for the law school. I took that one as well. I took that one and I got like the pre-law one. I think I only would have been able to go to like a very shitty law school like in like Los Angeles. It was like the only one I tested enough to get into. I think it was very funny. They have like the ranking for the test, like, oh, to get into Harvard Law you have to get this score, and to get into this school you need to get this score, and like my score was so low that it was like just some like one single weird name school in Los Angeles for law that I could get into, and I'm just like, that's hilarious. I'm not taking this again.
That's beautiful.
I know Kavina did take the MCATs for medical school and stuff like that for her kind of stuff. Another thing, she was the nursing ones and the medical school ones. She took a ton of those, and it was like nonstop studying. But those are obviously hyper specific, so they're not as much of an issue as like public school ones that get public schools screwed over.
Right. Yeah. But standardized testing, man.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm glad I'm in a point in my life where I mostly don't have to do that ever again. We have to do like safety training for the hospital I work at, but like no more like actual aptitude tests. Thank fucking God, that shit sucks.
Seriously, yeah. Ugh.
Did your school have like mascots and shit?
Yeah. I forget what his name was, but we did have the ram, the guy with the ram head.
Nice. Did you ever go to like any concerts or see the person? Or did you know the person who was in the outfit or anything like that?
Nope, never knew who was in the outfit because then again, it's kind of funny that it would be hilarious if you actually knew who was beneath the mask, right? Yeah. That's part of the fun. That's part of the mystery.
Yeah, who is it?
But yeah, no, I never knew who was underneath it. So I don't know if I was ever the friend of the mascot or not.
That's funny. Me and Ed's school, we went to Beechwood, which had a bison, and I never went to a single fucking pep rally that I wasn't forced to go to. I skipped every single one. I was always out fucking hanging out with the cool kids, not doing that shit. But 1 year I did go, one single time, and I actually saw the bison. But then I found out that this girl in our school apparently has like a terrifying fear of mascots that I did not know about. And she didn't know that she didn't know that the mascot was going to be there at the actual session. And then when it came out, she was like screaming terrified, and I was just like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I found like people like try like, "Oh, she knows, she's always freaked out because like she's afraid of mascots." And I was like, "Oh, that's funny." Very
that's
bizarre.
Hilarious.
Very, very.
I will say, I had to go to every single pep rally because I was in the band.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Ed was in the band too, and I was on the football team for a period of time, so I should have been there. But I just fucking skipped that shit every single chance. I literally been like, okay, running everyone from classes, and then I would like slowly slip out of the side door and just fucking, fuck around in the parking lot with my friends and not be at that shit.
Yeah, but it's still either way. Yeah, just.
I think I did know who the mascot was, and it was a kid now who I think is an actor. I think he had like a cameo in like not cameo, like a small part in like Orange Is the New Black and stuff like that. His name was Alone. His name was Alone Aviton. He was a pretty cool dude. But yeah, I think he was the mascot for a bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, any other, like, questions, concerns?
No, also the STOP, the SAT9. That, like, weird slogan she said was stuck in my head for years. I always think about it for some reason because it's a weird beat. But have you played the game Zenless Zone Saga? Or Zenless Zone... What is it?
No.
Zenless Zone series or whatever the fuck it's called?
Nope.
Out of those gacha games? Okay. There's a song literally called Gacha OST. It's a song about the gacha system and gambling and losing all your money, but it's like in the game that's focused on gacha. If you listen to that song, Gacha OST from ZZZ, It literally has the exact same beat as STOP the 79, and I cannot listen to that song without like having that repeat in my head nonstop. It's so bizarre. It's like a non-normal beat. It's such a weird specific tempo, but like that song uses that exact beat, and it always freaks me out whenever I hear it. I'm just like, that is so weird. Weirdly specific thing for me, but yeah.
I mean, cool. Trust me, I don't really do the gotcha games as much anymore, if at all.
No, I never touched them, but I heard that song randomly on like a weird clip, and I was like, "What the fuck? That's the thing from Fillmore. That song's from Fillmore."
Hey, you're like Fillmore. You're in the zone, whatever.
Yeah, very funny. I added it to my playlist immediately because I love that beat. Oh, also the voice of Enid Quintara and the cheerleading coach who did the Geodude reference. Let's see, what was her name again? Because I know her as Haley from American Dad. Let's see. Rachel McFarlane. That's her name.
Yeah, what else was she in?
She plays Haley in American Dad. She's like just a massive cartoon voice actor. Kids Next Door. She's in StarCraft. I think she's the main woman in StarCraft. I think. She's also set. Let's see. I gotta scroll through everything real quick because like I can say she's also in The Batman. She was Jane. Let's see. Animaniacs and shit. She's Eris in Billy and Mandy. That's who you know her from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She was Eris.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? Yeah. Never mind.
And she plays Kate Lockwell in StarCraft, but the main reason is because she is also Seth MacFarlane's sister.
Yeah, I was wondering because you said her name was you said Rachel?
Rachel McFarlane, yeah.
Yeah. When you said McFarlane, it was either sibling or it was wife, and then you just now said sister, so it's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. She's his sister. She's been all of his shows he's worked on. You know, Seth MacFarlane worked on like early Cartoon Network, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter. She like voiced a bunch of characters in all those shows all the way back then because he was working on them at the time. But
yeah, like holy crap! Seth MacFarlane worked on some of those cartoons.
He actually appears as a character in Johnny Bravo at one point when Johnny Bravo breaks the fourth wall and like goes into the writer's room. Seth MacFarlane's actually there with like the other writers. Yeah,
that's actually kind of hilarious. Actually, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The only one I remember from fucking Johnny Bravo is the main guy from Schoolhouse Rock, like the guy who like does the I'm the Bill or the
Bill.
that guy was a character in Johnny Bravo.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was voiced by somebody we know too because they're all a ton of voice actors are from that. But yeah, that little random thing of her being from her being a sister is funny.
That's hilarious. So, but yes, we should probably get to this final episode of this recording, shouldn't we?
Hell yeah. Oh, also, I guess I haven't asked you in the last two cases. Did you figure out who was the culprit before Act 3 when they revealed the culprit?
In this particular episode?
In the first two episodes.
All right, so in the first episode,
yeah.
Act 2. Let's just say in Act 2 I was suspicious, but I kind of idled back a little bit just to see. But in this one, not gonna lie, I did not actually see self-sabotage as an option.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Who do you think it was with all the characters it could have been?
With all the characters it could have been, I honestly thought it was the protester girl. But then again, in this kind of show, that's one of the low-hanging fruit. So of course,
the red herrings. Yeah, they love red herrings.
Oh, especially my favorite red herring is from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. You know, Red Herring.
Red Herring? Yeah, he's hell of Red Herring. He's fantastic. I love that character. But yeah, fucking so good. Fun mystery. But now let's get to the last one. Episode 3. A worm in our midst.
Act 1.
Justice.
Overdue.
The ex-middle school shuffleboard team is in some tall kid's backyard, a kid
Who we've
named Tony Clementina.
Yep, Clementina, and they're like,
Oh, also,
hey,
actually, sorry, another side. We haven't talked about the intro. What did you think of the intro of the series?
well, it certainly is a early 2000s TV intro.
Yeah, there's
No,
a couple of yeah.
it was good. It was good. Don't get me wrong. I did like it, but I'm like, as I was watching it, I'm like, wow, am I 10? Whatever this year. Am I 10 years old? This is early 2000s.
Oh yeah, 2002.
Yeah, right. I was just like, oh dang, like, but honestly, it's good for the show. It works out perfectly.
Yeah, I was thinking because the kid Tony Clementina, just from the scene, is in the intro, but we see Tony Clementina's talking to the ex middle school shuffleboard team about their missing sticks. He says they start telling him like, hey, thank you guys for following me to this backyard. And they say, shove it, Clementina. Where are our sticks at? Are they up in that tree house? And he says, no, I don't do tree houses. He says, just eating some extra salty pretzel rods. As he says, man, I love these extra salty pretzel rods. You know, like how you guys love your sticks. So if you guys want your sticks, you're going to have to pay me money to get them back. And then you're kind of like, oh my God, come on, man. He's like, okay, fine. You give me the money. They're in the shed. As he opens it, we see Ingrid's in there. As she is ready to arrest Tony Clementina. Just as he flees, as they always do, Fillmore is right there to stop him.
And of course,
Tony says,
Tony
Tony
say?
He says that they are old friends.
But then, of course, he tries to take him in, and then of course he gets sprayed by a hose that's like right at the foot.
Yep. As he begins to flee towards the school, which apparently he lives nearby. He runs in and interrupts some kind of meditation team.
yeah, right. I actually wrote this one down because, like, seriously, it's like, what the fuck? This school has everything. We're talking about like literally, it's just the ex middle school meditation club. I'm like, okay. As he's running, he's like, haha, Fillmore can't get me now. Opens the door and you see I'm
Farrell.
I'm bad with these names. Thank you. I'm bad with some of the other these names.
Yeah,
and they're like, yeah, you can't get through here. He's like, fine, I'll go through another exit.
As he's running around, we do see the book club come into play. Like, hey, we're kind of interrupting our session. We're talking about the shortage of Lloyd Alexander books in the library. And he says like, yeah, shove it, man. And he kind of runs past them.
Yeah, right. And then of course, no matter as he's still trying to get away, wait, what does it say? What does the sign say?
I know it's a banner for world's greatest Euros.
I'm looking through my. Oh yeah, it's just the Euros are coming. The Euros are coming. That's right. I had that one down. It's just that's all it says. But Fillmore and Ingrid just wrap him around in it, and they successfully catch him. But
they have a nice little Euro pun.
Yeah, as Ingrid falls to the ground, she looks on the ceiling. I think this is the cafeteria. And when she looks up, she sees what looks like a bottle rocket stuck to the ceiling.
Yeah. They arrest Tony, and he tells Fillmore as they put him in the detention center. He says, "There's no point. I'll be back on the streets in no time. No one's gonna care." He says, "What are you even doing this for?" And he says, "Well, we are what we are. I know you don't change, but you'll be out back on the streets someday soon. But it doesn't matter. I can keep you here for now. I'm gonna go hang out and have fun." As he leaves him locked in the cage. Or locked in the detention center. Ingrid says, "Don't let him get to you, man." She then talks to as they kind of separate. She goes to the janitor to get the rocket down from the ceiling that she saw. As he's climbing the ladder, he says, "Oh, my ladder's named Bessie. Be kind to her," as he says with all of his equipment.
Apparently, yeah. And so, as Ingrid is looking at this bottle rocket thing, which apparently is some kind of cola can. But she notices.
Cola. Yeah.
What was it?
Carbo Cola.
Yeah, Carbo Cola. That's what it was. But she looks and she sees a smear, a kind of a smudge of something. And as she looks in, she sees it's some kind of pudding, maybe a custard.
Yeah. she goes to Tahama about it. Like, hey, is there some kind of custard thing happened in the school? Like, oh, the biggest custard spill in the history happened last year. Mr. Geary was going for the world record for the largest bowl of custard, but the stand broke and it flooded the cafeteria with 3 feet of custard for several days.
Yeah, and like because apparently like that kind of wood couldn't handle all of the weight of that custard.
Yeah. Tahama then tells her to, hey, why don't you keep digging while you're doing that? While Anza, like, I gotta deal with these missing library tickets. And then Anza, the other dude's like, hey, you're dealing with overdue library tickets? I'm dealing with that too. And then O'Farrell's like, you guys. Yeah.
O'Farrell's like, wait a minute, I've got these too. And, so there's a whole lot going on.
There's like hundreds of them. Hundreds of late tickets that they have to do.
And then Fillmore walks in with, like, Fudgy Pops or something. He's like, yeah, this sounds a little bit too weird. Let's check it out. And they go to the library, and, like, just about every single book is gone.
Hell yeah.
Just gone.
As we see, the librarian, Mr. Linderm, is in tears. And he says, I was expecting your visit. I have no clue where they went. And this is when we end the act. And we begin Act 2.
The shadow of a secret. Where we find out the reason why this happened was because the librarian was caught, like, really engrossed in Mark Twain's Pudd'nhead Wilson? Okay, question, book reader. Oh, someone who's read more authors than I have. Is that an actual book?
Pudd'nhead Wilson? Yes,
is that an actual Mark Twain book?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because knowing the custard thing that talked, and at
it's
this
called
point,
the tragedy
hearing that,
of
I'm just
Pudd'nhead
like,
Wilson, yeah.
I'm like, are they fucking with me right now?
Not only is it a real book, but it was published in 1894, but also November 28th, my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Pudd'nhead Wilson.
Anyway, so yeah, he was really, really engrossed in Pudd'nhead Wilson.
And all the books were checked out through the library's automatic checkout system, but not a single one has been returned. And this happened just like Hemingway said, it happened gradually and then suddenly. They checked the computers to see that they were checked out under false cards and false names. Speaking of Folsom calls, and she is pissed at this happening. Once again, of course, because Folsom's constantly angry at the team.
Yeah, well, yeah, because let's be honest, Principal Folsom is just the mayor who's like always pissed off.
Yeah, pissed at the police for screwing something up. She's
right.
The school.
And as they're looking at as Vallejo is talking about talking to Folsom, we see the book club is they come in and they're like, hey, we're devastated about this. If anyone knows anything about books, we would know. And Fillmore's like, you're right. Come on in. They're good.
Yeah, they kind of looks around at everything missing as he touches on himself, and he says, man, they stole everything from us. They stole everything that was good from us. And they're like, well, don't worry, we'll get the books back. He says, but will we get back our innocence? He says, there's no one knows this place like the book club. We have your back. We're going to help you find this. Just as he's comforting this kid, he notices a giant pile of salt on the shelves. Meanwhile, Ingrid continues to investigate the rocket more as she sees that the soda company, Carbo Cola, is actually only sold in the Cleveland area. And this is when she finds out that, hey, Thomas says that's where Fillmore's from. You should probably ask him about it. Maybe he knows about the soda. As he enters the big shopping bag full of tons of pretzels, he's like, we're going to find out where the salt came from. We're going to try to identify it. As they're going through them, they realize that it is actually Tony Clementina's brand.
Yep, the pretzel rods that he absolutely loves.
Yeah, extra salty pretzel rods. Which I'm probably going to go buy some after this episode.
Yeah, and then of course they go to actually question him. But the last bell rings, he takes the bus. And as they go on the bus...
He has a suspension hearing pending.
Oh yes, that's right. He's actually like he got cut loose because there's a suspension hearing pending. Well, as they find him on the bus, he like goes on the bus like, haha, I'm safe. But apparently the safety patrol has like
He begins to
all of
push
the
the students on to
authority.
hurry up. Yeah, they can
Yeah,
stop a bus.
yeah, like he gets on the bus, and as the bus is literally closing and starts up and drives, apparently the safety patrol has all the authority known to mankind because all they do is stand in front of the bus with their badges, and they immediately stop.
Yep, they have ultimate authority. They get on the bus to try to corner Clementina, but then he grabs some poor kid's balsam mahal. No, not my balsam mahal. I took weeks to make that. It's to scale. As he tries to warn them. He tries to flee out the back and throw. And he's like he's holding the balsam mahal hostage as he runs to the back of the bus. But he opens the door and sees, he kind of gasps in shock and flings the balsam mahal over his shoulder. Ingrid just manages to capture it and save it from being destroyed as Tony leaps from the bus and begins to run. He then steals a unicycle from the ex-middle school mime club, which they also apparently have.
Just, you know what? At this point, when I saw the mime club, at this point, I'm like, why am I questioning this anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Fillmore like snags someone's skateboard. So, as all of this is happening, they go through the track and field area, and of course, Fillmore grabs like a pole for a pole vault. Tony finally like falls on the mat, and Fillmore catches him.
Yeah, he finally pins him. Then they return to Tony Clementina's shed. As they open it, they see that he has a bunch of bootleg Glee Club t-shirts all over his print shop, and that's all that's in there. This is when Anza shows up, and he says, hey, they're up here in this treehouse. As they go into the treehouse and see that is where the books are being stored. Ingrid talks to Mr. McGreary while they're doing the booking for the books. She talks to Mr. McGreary about the pudding incident, and he seems to say like, oh, I heard about you did really well. And he's like, well, it wasn't just me, it was Fillmore. And he's just like, I doubt that Fillmore helped. As he goes on to talk about bad eggs and they can't turn good. And she's like, hey man, he really changed things around. I really should, believe in him. He's just completely dismissive of it.
But yeah, he also
yeah.
mentions, Mr. Greery also mentions that like he legitimately explicitly called Fillmore a lost cause. Yeah. But he was also very happy about that whole custard incident because seeing that this happened, he's a changed man because he doesn't care about the world record anymore. He now wants to open up his own custard restaurant.
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember the name of it?
I did not. Mr. McGreery's Custard Emporium or something like that? There's something really simple like that.
Some weird thing. It looks like a pseudo medieval castle kind of thing with a giant custard bowl on top.
Yeah. He says that he thinks it was an accident, but if it wasn't, then whatever hoodlum did, I should thank them for now. I have another new path in life. Just as, once again, Tahama's doing her research, Ingrid comes in with some candy to try to bribe her, and she says, "Okay, what do you want now, Ingrid?" And she says, "Hey, can you teach me how to fingerprint?" She says, "Sure." She shows her how to dust with either talcum powder or cocoa. You blow the dust off. You can sticky with a piece of tape to try to copy the fingerprint. You just lightly dust it. She shows the whole giant thing. See, she has a random mug that Fillmore has and puts the marker down on a piece of blank paper. She's like, "That's how you do it. All right, I'm out of here. I'm gonna enjoy these snacks that you're bribing me with." As she's doing it, we see Ingrid continue to try to do it, but she's having a difficult time doing the fingerprinting. She does manage to finally get a copy, puts it on the black paper, and she gasps as she gets a call from Fillmore to head back to the library. And then as she flees, we see that the fingerprint matches Fillmore's.
Yep, the fingerprint matches, which cuts us to Act 3. Of Redemption Returned. So all the all of the safety patrol and a lot of the book club is finally putting the books all back away, but the instructor, the librarian, mentions that there are a lot of like books that are still missing. And to name a few, like only the two that I glossed over that were missing, Tolkien and Rowling. I'm like, oh no, don't say that name. That did not age well.
Yeah, the three I got, Tolkien, Bronte, Rowling, and Beverly Cleary.
Oh wait, what was the second one you said?
Beverly Cleary?
No, the second one I said. You said Tolkien.
Oh, Bronte.
And
Bronte.
Oh, Bronte. Okay.
Yeah. Which
Sorry,
also is a very coincidental thing. If you've watched the Netflix show You, Bronte is a very important character, a very important thing in the last season of that show.
Okay, but to be honest, I thought you said Dante, like the Divine Comedy.
No,
like,
no,
it was a different one. It was someone else. But yeah, there are a lot of good ones missing. And the head of
of course, all the good books.
Yeah, and of course the head of the book club mentions that, just like going to any library these days, all of the good ones are missing.
He also just looking at the books, Ingrid's the one who lists all the people who are missing, and he's like, how did she do that? And then again, Fillmore's the one who's like, her photographic memory, that's how she did it. And this is when they go to talk to Tony Clementina again, but Ingrid wants to go ask around about the rocket, but she's not really time at the moment, because she brings up the Fillmore like, hey Fillmore, I want to talk to you about something, and he's just like, later, we got to talk to Clementina.
Yeah, which by the way, in this episode, this episode, you've noticed that he really Fillmore really wants to stick it to Clementina, and like legitimately, I think earlier on in the episode we didn't mention it. Fillmore had called Clementina a lost cause kind of person, and so in the interrogation room we see with the headline "Books Back, Clementina Caught." Biggest heist in X history.
Yeah. Clementina's in detention, and he says he knows, I don't know anything, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to talk to you. And he says, man, this isn't a simple suspension or detention. This is a big time. It's going to be expulsion if this goes down. He says, hey, I'll be remembered for this heist. Who's going to remember you, Fillmore, after all this goes down? No one's going to remember you. They're going to be thinking about me. It's perfect. Fillmore shoves him to the window and says, like, you see all those people down there? You're hurting real students, okay? You're not going to get away with this crap. If you're going to be expelled, you're going to really hurt a lot of people if you do this.
And of course, as all of this is being said, Clementina is like looking away in fear. And we never did. We talked about Fillmore's catchphrase, but we get Ingrid's catchphrase that she said a few times actually, where she's like, "Wait a minute," and she's going through her photographic memory, and she goes, "Crackers." Wait a minute. Yeah, we need to talk now. And then, of course, Ingrid's like, he couldn't have done it. And Fillmore's like, what are you talking about? Of course he did it. They were in his treehouse. And Ingrid's like, no, you don't understand. This guy has a fear of heights. And she lists off, on the bus, he seemed to hesitate before he jumped out. When he was being interrogated, when Fillmore was giving him the big, this is who you're hurting thing, he couldn't look out the window. There was another incident that she listed that Clementina really couldn't do.
Fillmore's response is he could have just had somebody help him with it to move the stuff. That's all. And then she also mentions that he also failed computer science 4 times. There's no way in hell he could have made all the false accounts. But this is when Fillmore again says that Clementina is a lost cause, but she then hands Fillmore the rocket and says, yeah, I guess you know all about that. I think this is yours, Fillmore. And this is when we see a little glimpse of Fillmore's past as a delinquent. He's looking through his record. We don't see it yet. He's looking through his record, and it says delinquent, stealing, gambling, forgery, counterfeiting, all kinds of stuff, backtoppery. It's a long list of crimes.
And of course, after she walks away from this, later on, she's at her computer, and Fillmore's like, "Hey, can you meet with me?" And she's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Why?" She's like, "Just trust me on this one." So he
go to the old storage room.
Yeah, they go to the old storage room where they see the broken the broken custard platform. Yeah. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. And Fillmore's like, "Take a look at the damage here." And Ingrid's like, "Oh wow, yeah, that gave because of a lot of weight." He goes, "Yep. But look at here," and there's a little red scuff mark, and she's like, "Wait, from when you were going to destroy it?" He's like, "Yeah, I tried to, and in the you see like a bit of the past where he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
what's the teacher's his name? Greer.
Mr. Greery.
Yeah, Greery. He's like Greery, literally like in class in front of everyone said that I wouldn't amount to anything. So I wanted to prove him right. I wanted to get rid of his the whole custard thing. However, before as I was getting ready
There's like 5 police cars driving by right now.
as I
for a second.
as I was getting ready to release the cola and like let it go, that's when the custard thing broke. And then you see the custard thing broke legitimately, and the rocket just ricochets up into the ceiling.
Fucking cars! I guess it's really appropriate on theme. Literally, like 6 police cars just drove by in a row.
That's hilarious. And
they're also like weird vans. Anyway,
and
sorry.
Of course, no, you're good. And Ingrid's like, "Oh, wow! So you really didn't actually do it, even though you were trying to do it."
Yeah.
And then since you had the police chase, now you can continue on.
All right, I gotta find where the hell I was in my notes now. Let it come another patrol officer. On the force. Oh yeah, he talks about how after he failed to do that, he continued to do more crimes, but then eventually someone gave him the choice to be good, and he took that opportunity to join the force. He changed, and so can Clementina. He just wants to prove, Clementina's continuing to admit to this crime he didn't do to try to prove me right. And then we see a newspaper headline again as they find another clue. Ingrid then takes a photo to a developer. Actually, she develops it in school herself. What in the hell is going on?
Yeah,
is there a fire somewhere? I'm gonna mute my shit again.
As she's getting ready to pick up the newspaper, the magnifying glass is actually zoomed in on the picture, and she's like, "Wait, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And so they go to the dark room to look at the photographs taken by the newspaper, and she's like, "Oh, you thinking what I'm thinking?" He's like, "Yeah, I think there is. I think you're right." And the picture is of Fillmore with the book club president.
Noah.
Yeah, Noah. Thank you, with Noah. And
they say it was about the books. After all.
It was all about the books. And of course Noah's like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" It's like, "Noah, you did this. You stole the books." It's like,
yeah, they say, "Remember when you asked me if we could ever get our innocence back? Well, it looks like too bad you're guilty."
And he's like, "No, I'm not guilty." And literally a Vallejo and the rest of the safety patrol are like, "Yeah, except where you are." And we find out that in the picture.
Before that, he does again reiterate that, like you said, nobody knows this place better than the book club does. And then they tell him what's on the picture.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Yeah, that's preposterous." But you saw, and Ingrid's like, "Yeah, you shouldn't plant." It's like, "Yeah, you saw the salt. You're right, but you shouldn't literally plant the evidence while your picture's being taken." And in the photo, you see the Noah's hand with covered in salt, putting it on the empty shelf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is when they finally confront him, but then he tosses a copy of The Great Escape at Fillmore and flees. They lose him in the hall as a teacher comes out saying, "Hey, have you seen my scale model of Mount Vesuvius?" He's like, "Oh no."
And then, of course, he pops out of one of the book bins and presses a button for Mount Vesuvius to erupt.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot here going on.
Yeah, they find a dairy float parade is happening in the middle of the school. I think it's Dairy Week or something.
Well, no. It was like a big wedge of cheese of Swiss cheese.
No, it was like a parade for various dairy, because you see the wedge of cheese, and also we see a mascot Dino the Dairy Dino. It's some kind of parade.
Oh yeah, okay, I guess dairy for the week. And then they turn the corner, and Noah goes through as that one kid with the fucking scale model of the, what was it?
It's a balsa mahal. It's the Taj Mahal made out of balsa wood.
Yeah, the balsa
mahal.
And then when Fillmore turns the corner, accidentally runs into him, and it fucking shatters.
My balsa mahal, my precious balsa mahal. And
then as Noah's running, he's running, and we see some mysterious figure wearing a red
Yeah.
shirt drop like a weird one of those like tiger golf games where you like it had the
Yeah.
motion control sort of in it, and he
Mm-hmm.
trips over and he's like, a silly video game. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and now you're gonna get, and now you got caught.
Yep. He rants and raves about how the book clubs are the ones who should have priority and deserve the best books. They should be able to only be able to rent them out more than anybody. They shouldn't have to struggle to get the good ones. And no one gets their subtlety and their, their meaning of them. And she's just like, okay, come on, man.
Yeah, well, and then, he also does say like the books belong to the book club, and of course, Fillmore's like, no, they belong to everyone. They're in the library. And then, of course,
Yeah.
he gets taken away, and Ingrid's like, "Hey, you ready?
Oh,
ready
he forgot
to
his
go?"
line. He does have the guy knows like, well, at least I'll be able to get caught up on my reading while I'm in detention. And Filmer's like, nope, sorry, detention's homework only.
And
Not
and
little
for your
punishment.
sake, let's hope you have a lot of homework.
Yeah.
And they start taking him away. Yep.
Yeah, he's glad that Ingrid decided to investigate the rocket because it really proved a lot to him. Now he needs to go and apologize.
Well,
to Tony.
he looks at the back of the video game, and it says Clementina, and
Yeah.
so he's like, "Hey, I got to do something. You go on ahead." And so he goes over, returns the game, and he's just like, "Hey, you dropped this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just getting my stuff moved, because of everything going on." And Fillmore's like, "No, you get to stay. We found the real culprit." And they kind of have like a bro moment because he's like, "Look, I get it. I kind of messed up. I was saying that you were a lost cause, that you can't really amount to anything. But honestly, especially after what you just did right now, maybe you can change. And maybe I can like lighten up on you." And of course, Clementina's just like he and Clementina start walking. He's like, "Hey, by the way, those T-shirts. You're right. Those were some really good T-shirts. I think the softball team needs some shirts, right?" And Clementina's like, "Yeah, maybe I could sell them $10 a pop." Clementina, all right, $9.50. Come on. After what we did, baby steps, Fillmore. Baby steps.
Yeah. And that is where episode 3 ends. Now, first I'm going to ask you this one. Did you catch on to who was actually the culprit at any point?
Okay, so not immediately. But here's the thing. I didn't know who it could be because I knew it was not Clementina. Because if I learned anything from the last episode, he was absolutely a red herring.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know it's not him. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But like, I can't tell who it is. But then, like, I'm like, the only other main person was what's her name? Tahara.
Tahama?
Yeah, like the other main people were Tahama and the book club leader. So
you didn't think it was Tahama, did you?
Well, no, hold on. You didn't even let me finish. I'm like, so okay. The only other important characters are Tahama and the book club member, because I know it wasn't Fillmore. He's the main character. So for them to be like, "Oh, you were a delinquent at one point. Maybe it was you trying to frame him." I'm like, no, that's not it. So I'm like, maybe it's the book club guy. I don't. It's obviously not Tom. So I'm just gonna watch this play it out, and then it was him. I'm like, it was, and there's the reasons.
Oh god, what a fun little twist! Fun episode.
Yeah.
I mean, this one had probably the most obvious culprit because there weren't a lot of red herrings and there weren't a lot of extra characters introduced into the plot for possible things. And like Clementina, I was gonna say, like at the beginning we talked about different law shows and like procedurals and stuff like that, different formats. The specific Law and Order series, Law and Order CI, Criminal Intent.
Okay.
That one with the one Vincent D'Onofrio. Well, that's one of my favorites, but it's like one of the most least liked. That one is different from the other Law and Orders because in that show, the opening scene is the actual culprit committing the crime. You actually see the person who's going to do it. And
Mm.
there are several cutaways throughout the plot while the detectives are investigating. She's seeing the actual culprit, hiding evidence or trying to figure out who's after him, or like the police coming and talk to him about other stuff, not knowing that he's the actual culprit. That's why that show's so distinctly different from all the other Law and Orders. So it's one of those, like I mentioned way back, a how catch him instead of a who done it. So it could have been Clementina, and it could have been just like, okay, so how and why did Clementina do this, and how is he behind it? But actually, yeah, it was actually a little twist on who the actual culprit was. It was a nice little thing.
Yeah.
As somebody who, like I said, I failed English every year except for one in high school, my final year, because it was a new teacher and I really liked the dude and he was cool and got me into reading finally. I would say that, like, I spent so much time at the public library because there was one, like, literally right next to the middle school we went to. I was there all the damn time. They had so many manga and comics that I would read all the time that I actually downstairs in my house have several comics that I did steal from that place.
Oh, nice.
100% stolen. I stole so many books from that place so often. And of course, I'm going to put my friend Ed on blast. He too also stole a shit ton of comics from there. I have some Exiles X-Men series comics that from, like, literally, you look at the date, it says like 2002 or 2004 or 2006, the years I was in high school and in middle school over there. And it was literally, I stole like so many books from them. It's not even funny.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'm a big guy. But no, it was
Yeah.
a fun little thing because actually, yeah, something actually I personally did. Did you ever go to did you have a library near your place or what?
Oh yeah, in town, because I was the guy who, didn't have a car. And rather than going to, like, the like going on the bus home, I would just stop by the library, because not only did I have my pizza job that didn't last long, but I also had, like, a few friends who I would meet at the library as well. And so, like, I would always go to my local library and, read some manga, read some books, go on the computer a little bit, just fun stuff.
Oh yeah, but you didn't steal massive amounts of books from the library.
No, unfortunately, I was a bit of a goody-goody two-shoes.
You weren't a cool guy like me.
Then again, then again, if I did steal any books and they did find out it was me, then they would tell my dad, and because my dad knew literally everyone in Upper Sandusky, still does.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, so I really could not have gotten away with it.
I was saying, we were in a pretty big city, so no one noticed.
Right.
Or if they did notice, I never got in trouble for it. Also, yeah, the other thing, minor thing I was going to say, I'm in my office right now, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of Warhammer, including a bunch of terrain. And the bit with the Balsam Hall, it's another bit I remember from as a kid. I never got what the fuck he was saying or what the hell he was talking about. But now I'm currently reading the book, the Jade Throne series. It's like a fantasy book set in India, or like in a fantasy version of India. And there's a lot of mahals and palaces and stuff like that. Mahal literally is like a Persian word based on an Arabic word that's now an Indian word meaning palace. So he's just saying it's a Balsam Mahal, fun little weird name for that place. Did you ever do any like build like miniature to scale? Also, yeah, the scale Mount Vesuvius and shit like that. Did you ever do any like scale modeling, structure building stuff like that?
Surprisingly enough, unless it was like grade school, which we're not going to count those, because we all did the volcano and whatever stuff. But like, we did in physics class. We tried to make catapults out of I think it was like toothpicks or something, or like I think it was popsicle sticks actually.
Yeah, it usually is, yeah.
Yeah, we tried to do that just to learn about like how catapults and how motion works, etc., kind of thing. But like, other than that, if I did make a model something with other people, I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah. I was saying also I have like a bunch of half not put together 3D printing equipment in my office too that I still have not finished hooking up because it needs a big ass vent and shit. But yeah, I have a shit ton of terrain in here from my Warhammer games and fucking all that kind of shit. Also, bad eggs. Like I said, I was a bad dude in school. I got in a lot of trouble. I hung out with not the worst people, but like I know some pretty bad people. I've mentioned them before. My two Russian friends, Roman and Dmitry. Me and Ed have tons of stories that I would never share public about hanging out with those two criminals. But I definitely had a bad rep in school. Like I said, I failed, but I was in summer school almost every year. I fucking was terrible, so I know I had a bad rap, and like there was a risk of not finishing, not graduating at one point. But of course, I fucking kicked its ass, and I went to college, and I'm awesome now. But yeah, I know. Did you? I'm assuming since you're a little goody two shoes, you didn't have a bad rep in school.
No, I didn't, and it's not from lack of trying either. So like with the majority of my teachers, not all of my teachers, with the majority of my teachers, they treated me differently because my dad was a teacher at that school. So some of them
that
treated,
makes sense. That explains a lot.
Some of them treated me like on a pedestal. Well, here's the thing. I did not like that because I really hated being treated differently, and a lot of the students wanted to believe that I was just like, I get everything handed to me. So in any of the classes with the teachers who were like, oh no, you're the son of Mr. Sturgeon. So I'm just like one of my favorite stories is this old decrepit teacher, an English teacher. So you would have loved her. Rolls eyes.
Of course, yeah.
She was the kind of woman where when I was in freshman year, she should have retired like 10 years ago.
No,
but she would always, there was this group of girls that would always chit chat during class and really didn't pay attention. I joined in with them. I would always talk to them during class and stuff. And with the girls, she would yell at them because, you're disrupting my class and blah, 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 blah. But to me, it was, I would be like, hey, I was doing it too. Yell at me too. Kind of like, hey, I was joining them too. I mean, are you really gonna? She would immediately be like, oh, well, just be careful next time, okay? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
but the thing is like, she never, like, the other girls never got in trouble either because I was there saying, hey, I was doing it too. So she would just tone it down a little bit and just be like, oh, just be careful next time, okay? Every fucking time. In fact, the only teacher in my freshman year that I liked was my algebra teacher, because after class, before as I was getting ready to leave, he's like, hey, I need to talk to you for a second. I'm like, all right. He's like, I know you're Steve's kid. That's my dad's name. My dad's name is Harold. He's like, I know you're John's kid. But I need you to understand something. You're not going to get any special treatment here. You're actually going to, I'm not going to even work you any harder. I'm not going to do that to you, but you're going to work just as hard as everyone else in this class. And I looked at him and I'm like, can I shake your hand, please? He's like, okay. And I shook his hand. I'm like, you are the only teacher aside from my band and my choir teacher that will actually treat me like a regular student, not like that put me on a pedestal. Thank you. And he looked at me, he goes, wait, really? I go, yeah, seriously. And I named a few of the teachers. They still treated me on a pedestal, but I named a few. He's like, they're treating you that way? I'm like, yeah, and it's annoying. He's like,
yeah.
All right, cool. Glad we got that settled. But yeah, I tried to get in trouble in class just so they could be just so they could stop treating me well. In fact, the only thing I got away with was some days on days where my dad was giving tests. Yes, my dad never caught on to this, but there were a few times where I gave for free. I gave answers to test questions because my dad liked to talk a lot about other things, and when kids didn't want to do anything, they wanted to get my dad talking. Yeah. But they still had to learn the shit. So I'm like, okay, hold on a second. So I would get I would actually copy some of the answers for the test. I'm like, all right, here you go, guys. Remember these. I'm not sure if they're going to be. I'm not. I can't I can't remember if they. I don't remember if these are going to be the exact numbered. But just remember these answers. Yeah, and everyone was just like, "Oh fuck yeah, dude!" I'm just like, "Yeah, never say I didn't do anything for you."
Hell yeah. Oh god, but yeah, there's gonna be a lot of nostalgic reminiscing during the course of this series. This not too long series, but fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna wrap up this episode of Filmore. I'm glad you enjoyed this new series.
Oh yeah, I'm loving this, and like I said, this was the episode where I like, why did I miss this again?
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's so many great shows in this time period. I'm glad it really holds up because it is so fascinating. And like I said, I love a nice mystery. You can see why I grew up loving mysteries like this because it's so fun to try to figure out what the hell's going down.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So plugs.
Yeah, you know me. I don't really have plugs, but you, good sir, you have all of the plugs.
Yeah.
Let's get this going.
Hell yeah. Matthew Lewis Podcast, Twitch, Matthew Lewis Podcast, YouTube, Matthew Lewis Podcast, Patreon, Matthew Lewis Podcast on Blue Sky. Check out all those things. Might start streaming soon with Elden Ring Night Rain coming out. By the time this recording's, it's definitely going to have been out for several months by the time this episode comes out. But that also going to be switched to that weird streaming picture-in-a-picture thing that they have going on. I'll be doing that. But also, of course, old episodes of Action Toon Bros, go rate and listen to those. The new RSS feed has all the episodes of Movie Garbage and Action Toon Bros. Go listen to the RSS feed is, I believe it's Action Toon Bros. Is the name of the main feed, but it'll have every episode of Movie Garbage on there as well. Then check out old episodes of Movie Garbage. Check out my book, The Forgotten Minotaur King. Check out the podcast, Forgotten Minotaur King. My other shows are still nebulously someday being worked on. Like I said, I have no idea when this episode's not going to come out for months after we record, so I can't really pitch when. But I'll keep you posted. Check out my shit. It's all over the place. So, next we have another Metalocalypse coming up.
Yep, we're gonna hopefully we're nearing the finish of season 2. Not yet, but we're nearing the finish.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm hoping you guys are enjoying this new series. Like I said, if you have the chance or the opportunity, definitely write Disney to put all these. Like, none of these One Saturday Morning shows are on Disney Plus, I don't believe.
Wait, really? None of them are?
I think that for a time, some of them, including Fillmore, were on the European version, I think. So if you had a VPN or whatever the hell, if you switched your Disney Plus to, like, the European version, I think some of these shows were available there for a period. But I don't believe they are anymore.
Interesting.
But yeah, for some reason, I don't know, it's probably some kind of weird ABC rights thing, but who knows? Write to your local Disney Plus admin to get that shit added on there, because these shows are fantastic and they should be in a better quality than on the YouTube or Watch Cartoons Online website.
So yeah, but either way, I am going to enjoy this show. But as you were gonna say, as we're wrapping this up, this is your episode. Come on,
Action Toon Bros. I was about setting it up. Keep it sleazy.